Hello everybody, John Joel back here again with another video, and today I bring you another Dragon Ball Z movie review. Now, today's another day in my 13 days of Dragon Ball Z, leading up to the premiere on April 11th for Resurrection F, Dragon Ball Z newest movie. Fucking can't wait to see that fucking movie, but until then, let's talk about the movies that led up to Resurrection F. And today I'm giving you my review on the third ever Dragon Ball Z animated feature film titled Dragon Ball Z: The Tree of Might. And this is a fucking pleasure to do because for me personally, and I mentioned this in my first ever top 5, but The Tree of Might is hands down one of my favorite DBZ movies. It's just, it's like, prior to the events of this movie, you had like really interesting but kind of bogus kind of plot lines and villains, and you didn't really get the full extent of Dragon Ball Z. Of course, this is the early stages of Dragon Ball Z's popularity. We're still in the Saiyan Saga, post-Saiyan Saga, Namek Saga kind of time placement, whether or not you really consider this a part of the canon, which, of course, based off this movie, it's completely non-canon because of the multiple characters that are featured in this movie. But on top of all that, who gives a shit? Because it's Dragon Ball Z! You don't fucking give a shit about logic! But on top of all this, before then, we had Garlic Jr. And he was alright, but I never really loved him as a character, as a villain, if you will. And also, I found it extraordinarily amazing that they actually considered him to have his own story arc in the actual anime. But on top of that, then we had Dr. Wheelo, which he had obviously a plan, but his plan was inconsistent and didn't really make much sense, and it was a little dumb. Now, they just gave us what we really wanted. This is the movie that, for me personally, blew down the doors and created the true standard for Dragon Ball Z movies. It has all the action, amazing plot-driven storylines, kick-ass, badass villains, and a fucking amazing visual style. I mean, the animation in this movie alone, I don't think they ever topped until, I want to say, freaking, Wrath of the Dragon, I personally think. That's just my personal opinion, because Wrath of the Dragon and Battle of Gods are one of my two favorite movies of all time when it comes to DBZ. And the animation style for those two movies are so fucking kick-ass. But the only one that beats it, in my opinion, has to be The Tree of Might. The visual style of this movie, the animation style, I'm surprised people don't talk about it as much as they should have. I love this movie. I fucking love it. It's hands down one of my favorites. And of course features everything that we've always wanted, which is of course an Evo Goku. A lot of people were like, for Fugatsu no F, oh no, we didn't want Frieza, we wanted Evo Goku. Well, you know what? We kind of already had that, you dumb fucks. We had fucking Turles. Turles is, of course, the main antagonist for Tree of Might, and he is created and designed specifically to be an alternate version of Goku. He's obviously an Evo Goku, if you will. He was basically created for the movie as like an alternate version of Goku if he never found peace on Earth. If he was never came across Gohan and never learned to, or ever fell on his head and like damaged his, his Saiyan memories, and obviously didn't meet up and had the adventures that he eventually had with Bulma and Krillin and Master Roshi and the rest of the gang. So this is kind of just that kind of version. But on top of that, the great thing about Turles as a character is that there's so much mythology behind him, and there's so much non-information that he's almost an open blank slate, which is an amazing thing for a villain, where you can just put on your own speculated plot lines to him, because he has such this great, he's a rebel, he's a space pirate, he's a Saiyan, he looks like Goku, except a more badass looking Goku, which I always thought was cooler, because I just dug how he looked. When I saw Turles for the first time in this movie, I just thought that's a badass version of Goku. He's just wearing Saiyan armor, he has his skin is all gray, he fucking wears a cape. And the only other character that's allowed to fucking wear a cape that I allow it is Piccolo. But Turles makes it work. He fucking wears a cape. There's just so many awesome things about Turles. Turles is a badass character in my book. And he's such an interesting character in the sense that he doesn't really abide by the rules of the Planet Trade Organization that was created by Frieza, and he doesn't really he's not really ruled under the leadership of Frieza or the rest of the other Saiyans, which are of course Vegeta and Nappa and Raditz, which is also really interesting. And basically his plotline over the course of what we learn in this movie is that he basically, with his band of rebels, which I guess are called the Turles Crusher Corps or something. I think that's what they're called in the movie. Essentially, they're a bunch of space rebel pirates who essentially travel throughout the universe, destroying planets, and they when they come across a very interesting planet, they of course plant into it a seed which holds the Tree of Might, or the Tree of Godly Might, if you will. And essentially what that seed grows into a gigantic freaking tree that absorbs all the energy of the planet that it's growing on and grows fruit. And when you take away the fruit and eat it, it enhances your powers and abilities. Which is an amazing plotline, which I'm surprised they didn't use that to their advantage to do other fucking awesome things. I mean, like, I've heard some people speculate on this, like, if Turles ate the Tree of Might, ate the fruit of the Tree of Might enough times, would that mean that he could become a Super Saiyan without training? I really don't know. Let me know what you personally think about that speculation in the comments section below. But overall, the antagonist alone makes me love this movie. I mean, hell, just by talking about it, I want to go watch it right now. But on top of all this, a quick synopsis of the movie, of course, features our characters Gohan, Krillin, Bulma, and Oolong, who are having a camping trip, and over the course of the movie we get the Turles Corps, of course, sending down a probe that causes a gigantic fire in the wilderness that the gang is actually camping out at, and of course Krillin, Gohan, and Bulma decide to gather the Dragon Balls to try and cure the forest that was destroyed by the probe. And essentially over the course of the movie, in the specific day that this camping trip takes place, the probe indicates that that planet Earth is of course a good place for Turles to plant the Tree of Might into, and that's what they eventually do. The Tree of Might, of course, destroys multiple cities. The roots are just like going across the entire planet, absorbing all the energy, growing and growing. And of course, none other than the Z Warriors are going to have to fucking step in and stop these assholes, and they fucking have a humongous standoff. And this is actually the first movie to feature every single character in the Z Warriors at this point, of course, besides Vegeta and Android 18 and what have you. But we have multiple different characters. Once again, another inconsistency, because if this was supposed to take place during the Namek Saga, that means Piccolo would be dead, and the rest of the Z Warriors would be dead, and that would just leave Gohan, Krillin, and Goku. But for the sake of the argument, who gives a shit? It's a standoff, and I think multiple actually images from this fight was also used for the intro of the series, which just also, continues to make sense because this movie's awesome. But of course, features an amazing standoff. Of course, features the Z Warriors in full and going against the Turles Corps, who just have an amazing battle. I think this is also the first time where you get all the Warriors, specifically Goku, fighting all at once, which is an amazing fucking image in and of itself. And I think the great thing about this movie is that it features so much action that we didn't really get from the prior movies, that they just stepped it up to a whole nother level, which you can see in the animation style, where they're just fighting against a tree, and you just see everybody just get blasted to hell. You get to see just the sound of like that mech guy, who I freaking don't even remember what his name was, but he was like this Transformer-like dude. Like, he looked like, basically, if Dragon Ball Z had, like, a version of Starscream, that's what that fucker is. That scene where he's just fighting Yamcha or whatever, and he just blows out of the air, and just attacks Yamcha. Yamcha, say what you will, but that's a fucking awesome fight. That's probably one of his best fights ever, which just shows how badass this movie is. And on top of all this, we also get featured other newer characters. We get to see the Great Ape finally in this first movie, which I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is the first movie to feature the Great Ape, and also the first movie to feature the dragon Icarus, which is, for the movie specifically, Gohan's pet dragon, which is interesting. I also find that surprising that that character of the dragon Icarus was never featured in the manga or anime. Specifically the anime. Why wasn't Icarus ever... I always loved Icarus. I thought he was a cool dragon. Hell, I want a pet dragon. I'll be fucking that chick from Game of Thrones, killing motherfucker. Well, I wouldn't really kill anybody, but I would just, fly around and, fucking scream in the fucking air and like, yeah, like never-ending story and shit. Anyways, amongst all this awesomeness, of course, there has to be an inevitable standoff between the main protagonist and the main antagonist. Goku decides to take down Turles, and Turles proves to be so fucking way superior in fighting and might and power in comparison to Goku. Not even Goku's Kaioken can fucking top Turles' power and speed. And of course, over the course of that, we get some awesome imagery of Turles actually grabbing Gohan, which is an amazing scene where he actually grabs him and forces him to see the moon that causes Gohan to transform into the ape, which is just brutal, like how crazy this character is, that he would literally torment a person's son just for the sake of destroying the two. That's just crazy nonsense. And just once again, more battling and imagery. We get Gohan as the Great Ape attacking Goku and shit, trying to attack Turles, but not really knowing how, because, as we all know, the Great Ape form is a very unstable character. Until he, of course, starts playing around with Icarus and stuff. And, of course, at the end of the day, all the Z-Warriors are pretty much beat up and spent. The Earth is being absorbed. All of its power is being absorbed by the tree. There's no energy left on the Earth. Everything's dead. Planet has died. The forest is dried. The deers are falling and dying. Fucking shit's hitting the fan. Goku, obviously, set up by the last movie, which is, once again, I mentioned this in my last review, it's an ongoing trait with most of these movies, decides that the only way to defeat Turles is with a spirit bomb, but because the Earth has no power, he can't use the spirit bomb, and before Turles can eat another piece of fruit from the Tree of Might, of course, Goku absorbs the power from the tree, and uses the power of the Tree of Might against Turles, and another piece of an amazing animated image. Turles and the tree both get destroyed by the spirit bomb simultaneously, which is amazing, just visual. Just, once again, just adds upon the amazing visuals of this movie. And of course, the day is saved. Goku wins the day. The Earth, of course, gets back and absorbs the power that was stolen from it, from the Tree of Might. Everything's set in stone. Everything's back together. The deers get back up because they're all happy again. And fucking the day is saved. They go on and have a good day camping again. It's end of the day. Fucking day is saved, assholes. Fucking love this movie. Tree of Might, hands down one of my favorite movies of all time when it comes to DBZ. And just in anime in general, I know a lot of people are like, oh no, Battle of Gods. Battle of Gods, I love it. But Tree of Might, when I look at it, it just has that good nostalgic feel of the animation style, but the visuals stand alone in and of itself. Like the visuals of Goku and Turles fighting, the visuals of the Tree of Might, the fighting styles of every character simultaneously being attacked. Of course, the Spirit Bomb. Just everything about this movie is just amazing. The introduction of several characters like Turles and Icarus. Just amazing movie. I give it like, everything about it is just awesome. The music, the visuals, the animation, the characters, the plot, the Tree of Might, the mythology behind the Tree of Might. Everything, the character designs, everything about this movie is just solid. I fucking give it... Oh god, I might get heat from this because maybe I'm exaggerating, but screw it. I give it a freaking 9 out of 10. Maybe a solid 10, depending on a good day, but for sure a 9 out of 10. It's so fucking well done. It's good. Hell, just by talking about it, I want to watch it again. It's just solid, fucking amazing movie. And of course, Turles, let's get back to talking about him for a few seconds. First off, for the sake of the argument, let me know in the comment section below what you personally think his background is. I don't know if I ever made a solid video on this. I think I talked about it once in one of my topic videos. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I did. But at the end of the day, I did state that my personal belief, Turles, I believe, is Goku. I mean, granted, it's already set in stone. Turles is an alternate version of Goku designed specifically for the movie. But if you want to go behind that, look behind the curtain and all, all style, and just be like, okay, there has to be a deeper reasoning behind this character. Okay. What do you personally think? Is he an average low-class Saiyan that just happens to share a resemblance to Goku. B, he's Goku's brother, long-lost brother. Or 3, he's Bardock's brother, and he's actually really Goku's uncle. I personally go with Goku's uncle. I stated this before. It just makes more sense. I mean, Turles, based off his physique and the way he talks and the way he acts, he just feels physically older than Goku. Goku's a young Saiyan. He's a young guy. If I remember correctly, in the beginning of the Z series, he's like in his mid-20s. Turles feels like he's like Vegeta's age, like he's in his 30s or like his, early 40s or what have you. He just feels like an older character. And that's the kind of like he just feels like a grungier, like almost like chain smokier kind of feel of like Bardock. That's kind of like how I like to imagine it. So I go with Uncle. What do you personally think? Do you think he's just a random Saiyan that shares a resemblance to Goku, or is he Goku's long lost brother? Let me know in the comment section below what you personally think about that. But at the end of the day, this has been my review. I give it a 9 out of 10. Everything about the Tree of Might is amazing. I love this movie. Everything about it is awesome. This is definitely what the DBZ animated franchise really needed to like kickstart the fucking thing, because Dead Zone, I liked it, but it was never really a mind blower. Other than the psychedelic imagery, it wasn't really amazing to what DBZ stands for generally. And then World's Strongest was kind of like just a really, really odd sci-fi kind of, gothic picture, which is kind of weird, which is not good. It's not terrible. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying for like DBZ kind of genre, the DBZ genre, it's just really odd for a choice. But Tree of Might definitely kicked down the doors. It brought us what we always needed and want out of Dragon Ball Z, which of course, fucking high-pacing action, violence, amazing imagery, badass visuals, great fucking animation, and awesome character-driven storylines. It's fucking amazing. Tree of Might for the win. I love it. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Next up, I'll be giving you some more DBZ reviews for my DBZ 13 Days of Dragon Ball Z. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, and of course, check out my World's Strongest and Dead Zone reviews. Hope you guys enjoyed. This has been John 12.